The planet Violia shone like a jewel in the void of space. Its skies were painted with streaks of orange and violet as twin suns dipped toward the horizon. The sprawling cities gleamed with crystalline towers, connected by bridges of light that pulsed with energy. Beneath the glittering skyline, the forests and rivers stretched for miles, untamed yet perfectly balanced. Violia was a world at peace, ruled wisely by Princess Queen Liara, a leader loved by her people for her fairness, courage, and intelligence. Liara stood on the balcony of the royal palace, her eyes scanning the horizon. The wind played through her long silver hair, and for a moment she allowed herself to enjoy the calm. But calm on Violia was fragile. Reports had come in over the last few days, strange ships moving near the edge of the system, unmapped and fast. Scouts had returned with nothing but silence, but the sense of unease had grown in the royal court. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the palace grounds. Liara squinted. In the sky, hundreds of ships appeared like a swarm of dark insects, moving faster than the eye could follow. They were enormous, angular, and black as obsidian, with edges that glimmered unnaturally in the fading sunlight. The Zarathi, the invaders, had arrived. The palace alarm sounded. Soldiers scrambled, activating shields and raising energy barriers around the city. Liara's advisors rushed to her side. "Your Highness, we must evacuate," one cried, panic in his voice. Liara shook her head. "No. Violia is my home. I will not leave while our people are in danger." Her voice was calm but firm. She had faced crises before, but nothing like this. The Zarathi were legendary across the galaxy, a species both intelligent and merciless. Their technology surpassed almost every known civilization, and their warriors were said to be unstoppable. Amid the chaos, a new figure arrived in the city's defense command center. A human, tall and rugged, with a presence that seemed to command attention. Kale had come from Earth, a mercenary and adventurer known for surviving impossible situations. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and their reputation for unpredictability preceded them. Kale had a different approach to danger than most. He trusted his instincts, relied on improvisation, and never gave up. Kale studied the holographic projections of the incoming fleet. "They're not just attacking," he said quietly. "They're testing us, waiting for us to make the first mistake. I know how battles work, and right now your people need to survive the first strike. That's all that matters." Civilians screamed and ran, seeking shelter under crumbling buildings and activated force shields. Liara's heart pounded as she witnessed the devastation. Soldiers moved to protect her, but she sensed that the Zarathi had targeted her personally. Their advanced scanners seemed to know where she was at every moment. Kale didn't hesitate. He grabbed Liara's arm and pulled her into a nearby command bunker. "Stay low and keep behind me," he said, scanning the perimeter. His voice was calm, even though the walls shook with impact. "I've got you." The soldiers assigned to protect her were already overwhelmed, but Kale moved with speed and precision. His human reflexes, honed through years of combat, allowed him to anticipate the enemy's movements in ways that seemed almost impossible. Finally, they reached a small chamber that offered a momentary safe haven. Kale crouched by the doorway, peering out. "They'll come through here next. But we can make them regret it." The shots hit their targets, sending the first wave of attackers back. But there were more, endless waves. Liara's eyes widened. "You're risking your life for me." "Someone has to protect this planet. That's human nature, fight when you must." Hours passed as Kale led her through a labyrinth of tunnels, avoiding the Zarathi and saving pockets of civilians along the way. He showed her how to use the emergency defenses, how to move silently, and how to anticipate the enemy's patterns. Liara realized that his strategies were not just about fighting. They were about thinking ahead, predicting, and outsmarting. At one point, they came across a group of trapped children in a collapsed building. Kale immediately assessed the situation. Using debris as leverage, he pried open the passage and guided them out, ensuring the children reached safety. Liara watched, realizing that the humans' heroism extended beyond battlefield tactics. It was in the small, critical decisions he made, decisions that saved lives. Eventually, they reached the royal gardens, a place untouched by the destruction above. The beauty of the flora and the calming presence of flowing water seemed almost magical compared to the chaos outside. Liara allowed herself a moment to breathe. "You've done more than shield me," she said softly. "You've saved countless lives already." Humans, we adapt, we survive, and sometimes we protect others while doing it. Every decision, every instinctive move was unpredictable, a quality she had always admired in her warriors but had never seen in an outsider species. "Interesting," Zarathia murmured, her voice echoing across her command chamber. "This human, he is not like the others. Perhaps he is worth my attention." Liara observed silently, learning from him. She realized that humans had a unique combination of courage, adaptability, and instinct. It was something Virelia's own forces, no matter how skilled or technologically advanced, could not fully replicate. Kale was teaching more than tactics. He was teaching a new way of thinking, a way that could turn the tide of the battle. Night fell, but the Zarathi did not relent. Their forces pressed on relentlessly, yet Kale and Liara, moving from one defensive position to another, managed to hold them off. Civilians were evacuated, and soldiers gained confidence from his guidance. At dawn, the Zarathi finally withdrew temporarily, perhaps reconsidering their approach. Liara looked at the destruction, her heart heavy with grief for what had been lost, but also filled with hope. Kale had shown her that even in the darkest hour, humanity's ingenuity and courage could shine. "You've changed the course of this battle," Liara said, her voice trembling slightly. Kale shrugged. "I just did what any human would, protect those who can't protect themselves. And maybe learn a thing or two along the way." It was the beginning of a connection that would shape the fate of planets, alliances, and perhaps the future of the galaxy itself. The first part of the story ended with Virelia battered but alive, a human at its heart, and an alien queen's fascination kindled. Kale had proven that bravery, intelligence, and the human spirit could hold their ground against the impossible. And for Liara, a seed of admiration and trust had been planted, one that would grow into something that could change the galaxy. The morning after the first attack on Virelia was quiet, almost eerily so. Smoke rose from shattered buildings, and the streets were littered with debris, yet the people worked tirelessly to rebuild. Princess Queen Liara walked among them, her silver hair tied back, eyes sharp with concern and determination. Every face she passed reflected the same mixture of fear and hope. Virelia had survived the initial strike, but she knew the Zarathi were not finished. Kale followed closely, carrying his pulse blaster and surveying the area. Even in the calm, he remained alert, noting every shadow and movement. He had spent the night studying the enemy's tactics, replaying the attack in his mind, and considering how Virelia's defenses could improve. Humans were known for adapting quickly, and Kale thrived in situations where thinking fast could save lives. Liara approached him as he examined a damaged bridge. "Kale, what do you suggest? We can't just wait for them to attack again. They'll strike harder next time. We use unpredictability, and we exploit patterns others miss. If we can't outmatch them in technology, we must outthink them." He showed them how to set traps that the enemy could not predict, how to move silently and use terrain as an advantage, and how to think ahead, imagining the enemy's moves before they happened. At first, the soldiers struggled. Their instincts had been trained in formation and precision, not improvisation. But under Kale's guidance, they began to learn, and their confidence grew. Meanwhile, the Zarathi fleet hovered at the edge of the system, observing. Queen Zarathia watched Kale's actions with fascination. The human did not act with fear, nor with blind recklessness. He studied, calculated, and adapted, traits rare among alien species. She noted how he inspired others, how his presence alone seemed to change the way people fought. For the first time, she felt a spark of curiosity about an individual outside her empire. Back on the planet, Kale led a simulated attack on a training field. Soldiers practiced ambushes and counterattacks under his watchful eye. "Predict," Kale instructed, pointing at a group of drones representing Zarathi scouts. "Watch their movement, learn their rhythm. Then use your own rhythm to break it. Learn to control it, and you control the battlefield." Kale was not only defending her and her people, he was transforming them, making them capable of facing an enemy that seemed invincible. At midday, an urgent message arrived. A Zarathi scouting team had landed on the outskirts of the city. Liara and Kale rushed to the site, leading a small force to intercept. The aliens were sleek and imposing, their armor black and polished, with energy weapons that could melt through metal. But Kale was calm. "Remember what we practiced," he told the soldiers. "Think like them, move differently, and never hesitate." Kale flanked the aliens, using an improvised ramp and energy nets to disable their weapons temporarily. The Zarathi, taken aback by the humans' unpredictability, struggled to adapt. Liara watched as Kale moved with a combination of precision and instinct. His human reflexes allowed him to react to danger before it fully materialized. He saved soldiers from ambushes, diverted enemy attacks, and even used the terrain against the invaders. Within minutes, the small Zarathi team was defeated, retreating to their ships. The soldiers cheered, but Kale remained focused. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The Zarathi will learn. We have to stay unpredictable, always ready to adapt. Humans can be good teachers in unexpected ways." He does not act out of fear, nor out of duty alone. There is something in him that I cannot predict, something I must understand. She began to consider him personally, an anomaly worthy of attention and study. The next days were a mixture of rebuilding and preparation. Kale continued his training with the Viorlian soldiers, pushing them further each day. He taught them to anticipate attacks, set clever traps, and use the city itself as a weapon. Liara joined him in some exercises, learning the human methods herself. Together, they became a team, blending royal strategy with human instinct. One night, Kale and Liara stood on a hill overlooking the city. Fires from the Zarathi attack still burned in some areas, but the streets were slowly returning to normal. Soldiers patrolled confidently, civilians began to rebuild, and the energy of hope returned. Liara spoke quietly. "Do you think they will come again?" She realized that the presence of a human like Kale had changed not only the soldiers but the entire city. The Zarathi could not intimidate them anymore, not completely. Kale noticed her gaze. "Don't worry, we'll face whatever comes, together." She was planning her next move, observing how he taught, fought, and inspired. In the eyes of the alien queen, Kale had become a challenge, an anomaly, and perhaps something more. In Violia, people slept that night with a sense of cautious optimism. Soldiers prepared for future attacks, civilians rebuilt their homes, and Liara reflected on the bravery and ingenuity of a human who had risked everything to save her people. Kale's presence had not only changed the city's defenses, but had also sown a seed of hope, courage, and resilience that could grow into something far greater than anyone had imagined. The battle for Violia was far from over, but for the first time the people felt that victory, though uncertain, was possible. A human had entered their world, and with him came a new way of fighting, thinking, and surviving. And high above in her darkened ship, the Zarathi queen watched, intrigued and captivated by this remarkable human who refused to be broken. The second part of the story ended with Violia learning to fight in ways they never had before, soldiers gaining confidence under Kale's guidance, and an alien queen beginning to take personal interest in him. The stage was set for greater battles, cunning strategies, and an unfolding story of human ingenuity challenging alien might. The sun had barely risen over Violia when Kale was already preparing for the next challenge. He moved through the early morning mist with quiet determination, inspecting the weapons, equipment, and makeshift vehicles the soldiers had readied overnight. The city had survived the initial wave of attacks, but Kale knew that the Zarathi would not wait long before returning with even greater force. He gathered a small team of Viorlian soldiers, each hand-picked for courage, skill, and adaptability. Liara joined them, her expression a mixture of concern and trust. "Kale," she said quietly, "we've held the city, but we can't afford to wait for them to strike again. What is your plan?" At the center of their formation, Kale noticed something that the Viorlian sensors had overlooked. A superweapon, hidden beneath a natural canyon formation. If activated, it could devastate the entire capital in a single strike. "They've built a device to destroy the city," Kale said, pointing to the location on the map. "If we don't stop it, everything we've defended so far will be gone. I'm going to destroy it." They traveled lightly, avoiding detection by the Zarathi patrols. Kale taught the soldiers to move silently, using shadows and terrain to conceal themselves. "They rely on sensors and predictable patterns," he explained. "If we don't act like they expect, we have a chance to succeed." They encountered small squads of Zarathi patrols, but Kale's tactics allowed them to disable or avoid them without alerting the main forces. Each time the team overcame an obstacle, the Viorlian soldiers gained confidence in their own abilities. They began to see the power of human unpredictability, the way Kale's instinct and ingenuity made seemingly impossible situations manageable. Finally, they arrived at the canyon. The Zarathi superweapon loomed ahead, a massive construct of black metal and glowing energy conduits. The air around it vibrated with power. Kale motioned for the team to take cover. "We can't rush in blindly. We need a plan that uses both brains and skill." Its design was alien, intricate, and unlike anything he had encountered before, but Kale had learned that any technology had weaknesses, especially when observed carefully. He traced the energy lines and noted the control nodes that powered the device. "These nodes," he said, pointing, "are vulnerable. If we disable them in the right sequence, the device will fail." Each group had a specific task. One would create a distraction, another would disable the first set of nodes, and Kale himself would move to the final node, the core control point. They executed the plan with precision, relying on Kale's guidance and their newly learned skills. The first group triggered an explosion far from the weapon, drawing the attention of the Zarathi guards. Energy beams fired across the canyon, but the team remained hidden. Kale moved swiftly toward the control nodes, bypassing security measures with a combination of human intuition and quick improvisation. He adjusted alien mechanisms with makeshift tools, studying the patterns of energy flow and timing his moves perfectly. Despite the danger, Kale's mind remained calm. He thought several steps ahead, anticipating potential failures and preparing contingencies. When a Zarathi drone appeared unexpectedly, he used a reflection from a metal shard to redirect its sensors, effectively blinding it long enough to continue his work. Finally, Kale reached the core node. Its glowing surface pulsed with power. He carefully placed an improvised device, using both human ingenuity and a deep understanding of physics to ensure the weapon would be rendered useless without detonating it dangerously. Sweat ran down his face, but he focused, trusting his instincts and knowledge. A sudden alarm blared. Zarathi forces had noticed the intrusion. Kale's team fought fiercely to hold them off, giving him the time he needed. He finished the procedure just as a squad of elite Zarathi warriors arrived. With a deep breath, Kale triggered the device. The superweapon shuddered violently, then powered down, its glow fading. The canyon echoed with the sound of collapsing energy fields. Kale and his team retreated quickly as debris and energy flares erupted behind them. When they emerged from the canyon, exhausted but victorious, the soldiers erupted in cheers. Liara ran to Kale, her face bright with relief. "You did it! You saved the city, saved us all. Your people fought with courage, and together we succeeded." In her way, she had declared interest in him personally, intrigued by a human who could think, act, and inspire in ways that aliens could not predict. Kale studied the transmission, a mix of curiosity and caution on his face. He knew that drawing the attention of the Zarathi Queen could be dangerous, but it also confirmed something he had suspected all along. Humans were remarkable, capable of achievements that even the most advanced alien species could not fully anticipate. Liara watched him, sensing the weight of the moment. "Kale, she's paying attention to you. That could be dangerous." But it also proves a point. Humans are strong, adaptable, and capable of more than most expect. If she sees that in me, perhaps she will see it in all of us. Kale used the lessons from the superweapon mission to teach the soldiers advanced tactics, combining Virelian technology with human ingenuity. Soldiers learned to anticipate enemy movements, create diversions, and exploit weaknesses, making Virelia far more resilient than it had been before. One evening, as Kale walked through the city with Liara, he noticed how people had changed. Children played cautiously in the streets, soldiers marched with confidence, and citizens moved with renewed determination. He realized that his influence had reached beyond the battlefield. It had touched the spirit of an entire city. Liara turned to him. "Kale, your presence has changed everything. You've shown me what courage really is, what humans can do." "I didn't do it alone. Humans survive by working together, by trusting each other, and by taking risks when necessary. Your people already had courage, they just needed to believe in it." She analyzed Kale's every move, noting his ability to remain calm under pressure, his quick decision-making, and his unyielding loyalty to those he protected. To her, Kale was not merely a human. He was a phenomenon, a challenge, and perhaps a puzzle she could not resist. "This human," she whispered to her council, "he is unlike any other. He is clever, courageous, and unpredictable. I must understand him. He is remarkable." The stage was set for the next confrontation. Kale knew that the Zarathi would return, and perhaps with forces larger and more dangerous than before. But he also knew that humans had something the aliens could not predict: adaptability, courage, and the will to protect others, no matter the cost. As he looked out over the city, Kale felt a sense of resolve. The mission had succeeded, but the war was far from over. He and Liara would face future battles together, combining human ingenuity with royal strategy and preparing the people of Violia for the challenges to come. For the first time, Kale realized that his presence had changed the course of the entire planet's destiny. And high above, the Zorathi Queen's fascination deepened, setting the stage for an encounter that would test not only skill and courage, but also the very nature of humanity itself. The people of Violia slept that night with hope restored, knowing that a human had proven the impossible could be done. Kale's ingenuity had given them a fighting chance. And somewhere beyond the stars, an alien queen had begun to see humans in a way she never had before, a species capable of surprising even the most powerful in the galaxy. The city of Violia had recovered remarkably since Kale's daring mission against the Zorathi superweapon. Soldiers moved through the streets with confidence, civilians rebuilt their homes, and the city's energy was vibrant with determination. Yet the calm was only temporary. Scouts reported that the Zorathi fleet had not retreated. They were regrouping, and their queen, Zorathia, had taken a personal interest in the human who had thwarted her plans. Kale spent the morning training the soldiers, refining strategies, and preparing them for an attack that he knew would come soon. Liara observed closely, taking notes, learning how human instinct and adaptability could be applied to their own forces. Kale's methods were unlike anything the Violians had known. He taught them not just to fight, but to think in ways the enemy could not predict. "Kale," Liara said as they walked through a training yard, "do you really think we can face her fleet again? They are more powerful than anything we have." "That's how we win." Soldiers took their positions, ready for battle. But Kale knew this was no ordinary attack. Zorathia had come personally, and Kale suspected it was a test as much as an assault. The alien queen's ship hovered silently, her presence imposing. From deep within the flagship, a voice transmitted across the city, clear, calm, and commanding. "Kale of Earth," she said, her tone carrying authority and curiosity, "you have interfered with my plans twice. I offer you a choice. Surrender yourself, and your city will be spared, or resist and face annihilation. But we don't fight blindly either. Humans think, adapt, and use what others cannot." He turned to the soldiers. "Listen carefully. This is not just a battle of weapons, it's a battle of minds. Follow my instructions exactly, and we can survive this." He instructed groups of soldiers to simulate attacks in one area, drawing the enemy's attention, while he and a smaller team moved to exploit vulnerabilities in their formation. Liara coordinated civilian evacuations, ensuring that lives were protected even as the confrontation escalated. The first volleys from the Zorathi weapons slammed into the decoy positions. Energy beams carved trenches through the ground, but Kale's teams were already moving. Using human unpredictability, they flanked the enemy drones, disabled energy relays, and created openings that the Zorathi did not anticipate. Kale noticed a small shuttle attempting to land on a key city platform. He motioned to a squad of soldiers to intercept. Using a combination of speed, precise timing, and clever use of terrain, they managed to force the shuttle back into the flagship. The Zorathi were adapting, but so were the humans. From the flagship, Queen Zorathia watched Kale's movements closely. Every time she thought she had predicted his actions, he acted differently. She admired his ability to remain calm under pressure, to make quick decisions, and to inspire those around him. Her curiosity deepened into fascination. "You are clever, human," she said softly. "Most would have been destroyed by now, yet you survive and you lead. I must see more of you." Kale moved among the soldiers, offering guidance, correcting errors, and encouraging them. He demonstrated how to anticipate the enemy's next move, how to exploit patterns, and how to use small forces to create larger effects. The Violian soldiers were learning quickly, inspired by his courage and ingenuity. At one point, Kale identified a potential weakness in the flagship itself, a section where the energy shields overlapped imperfectly, leaving a small corridor exposed. He devised a plan to infiltrate it, using a team of Violian engineers and soldiers. "This is risky," he warned, "but if we succeed, it could change the outcome of this battle." "I will not let you face this alone," she said firmly. Kale nodded, recognizing the determination in her eyes. Together, they led the small team toward the weak point. The infiltration was tense. Sensors detected their presence, and automated defenses activated. But Kale's human intuition allowed him to move in ways the aliens did not expect. He guided the team through narrow corridors, over energy grids, and past sentries. Every move required split-second decision-making and complete trust in his instincts. Finally, they reached the core section. Kale and Liara worked quickly, coordinating with the engineers to disable key systems. Alarms blared and energy pulses surged around them, but their preparation and focus allowed them to succeed. Critical systems on the flagship were disrupted, forcing the Zarathi to retreat temporarily. Queen Zarathia, observing remotely, felt a mix of admiration and surprise. "This human does not fight like others," she said. "He does not yield, he does not panic, and he inspires." "He is extraordinary. Humans survive because we adapt, yes, but we also inspire those around us. And today, your people have learned that. They can stand, they can fight, and they can think for themselves." The alien queen was no longer just an enemy. She was a presence that could influence the future of the planet in unexpected ways. Liara and Kale walked along the city walls, looking at the stars above. "Do you think she will come again?" Liara asked. Kale studied the sky, thoughtful. "Yes, and when she does, we'll be ready. Humans don't just fight with strength, we fight with mind and spirit. And that is something even the most powerful enemies cannot ignore." Yet for the people of Violia, there was hope. Kale had not only defended the city, but had taught them how to think, how to adapt, and how to survive. The HFY message was clear. Human courage, intelligence, and resilience could overcome even the most formidable opponents. Kale and Liara stood together, looking out over the city they had fought to protect. They knew that future battles would be harder, that Zarathia's attention brought both danger and challenge. But they also knew that with human ingenuity, determination, and courage, they could face whatever came next. High above, the Zarathi queen contemplated her next move. Kale had impressed her beyond measure. In him, she saw something different, a spark of unpredictability, bravery, and intelligence that no other species had displayed. Her fascination was personal now, her curiosity growing into a desire to see the human again, to understand him fully. The story of Kale and Violia was far from over. The city had survived, the people had learned, and a human had proven that even against overwhelming odds, courage, strategy, and adaptability could triumph. The stage was set for the final confrontation, a moment where the human spirit would face the ultimate test, and where the galaxy would witness the power of humanity in full. As the night deepened, Kale and Liara prepared for what was to come. The Zarathi fleet would return, the queen would take action, and the future of Violia rested on their strength, courage, and wisdom. But Kale felt no fear. He had faced the impossible and survived. He had inspired a people to stand, and he had caught the attention of an alien queen. And in that moment, he knew one thing with certainty. Humans are not just survivors. They are forces the universe cannot ignore. The sky above Violia glowed with the fiery light of approaching ships. The Zarathi fleet, larger and more powerful than before, loomed over the city, their energy weapons humming ominously. Princess Queen Liara stood at the palace balcony, her silver hair blowing in the wind, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She had prepared her city, trained her people, and followed Kale's guidance, but she knew this confrontation would test them like never before. Kale joined her, calm yet alert. "They've brought everything they have," he said quietly. "But we're ready. Your soldiers are strong, and your people believe they can survive. That counts for more than they realize." Energy shields flared as it landed with precision, and from it emerged Queen Zarathia herself. She was taller than any human, with a presence that commanded attention. Her armor shimmered with dark energy, and her eyes locked on Kale. "You continue to defy me, human," she said, her voice smooth and commanding. "Your actions have been impressive, yet this is your final opportunity. Surrender, and I may spare this world. Resist, and all you protect will be destroyed." Most would tremble. She had faced countless opponents, yet Kale's combination of courage, intelligence, and unpredictability was unlike anything she had encountered. Without warning, her energy weapon flared, sending a warning shot that scorched the ground nearby. The battle had begun. Kale moved quickly, signaling the soldiers and civilians to safety. He had prepared traps, ambushes, and distractions, all designed to exploit the weaknesses in the alien fleet and the flagship. The city erupted into action. Violian soldiers executed Kale's strategies flawlessly, creating openings in the Zarathi formations. Civilians, guided by Liara, evacuated to safe zones with surprising efficiency. Every move was calculated yet adaptive, reflecting the human-led training Kale had instilled in them. Kale approached Zarathia directly, moving with both caution and confidence. The queen fired volleys of energy, but Kale dodged with human agility, using debris and the terrain to shield himself. Every step he took was deliberate, exploiting the Queen's assumptions and turning them against her. "You are clever, human," Zarathia said, her voice echoing over the battlefield. "But cleverness alone will not save you." Using human intuition and quick thinking, Kale identified a weak point in the ship's energy shields, a small corridor that even the alien Queen had not fortified. He relayed the information to Liara, who coordinated a simultaneous strike from above, keeping the Queen's attention divided. The infiltration was tense. Automated defenses activated, energy beams cut through the corridors, and drones patrolled relentlessly. But Kale moved with a combination of instinct and strategy that no alien could predict. He disabled traps with makeshift tools, diverted patrols, and guided the soldiers around obstacles. Finally, they reached the core of the flagship. The control room pulsed with energy, the source of the Queen's formidable power. Kale quickly assessed the systems, identifying the key nodes that powered the weapons and shields. Working with the Virelian engineers, he devised a plan to disrupt the energy flow, rendering the flagship vulnerable. Zarathia appeared in the control room, her presence imposing yet curious. "You have come far, human," she said. "Most would have perished before reaching this point." He dodged, guiding the engineers and soldiers to safety, and used the environment to block her attacks. Every move was calculated, anticipating her reactions while exploiting her expectations. Minutes passed like hours. Kale worked tirelessly, directing the team, disabling systems, and keeping the Queen engaged. He realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. Victory required strategy, intelligence, and the human capacity to adapt to unforeseen challenges. At the critical moment, Kale activated the disruption device. Energy cascaded through the flagship, destabilizing the weapons and shields. The Queen's attacks faltered, and her ship shuddered as systems failed. Kale used the opportunity to push forward, standing firm against her gaze. Zarathia paused, studying him. "You are remarkable," she admitted. "Your species possesses traits I have never encountered: courage, intelligence, unpredictability. I underestimated you. We adapt, we learn, and we protect what we care about." He had anticipated many outcomes, but not this declaration. He nodded respectfully. "I am honored, but my loyalty is to Virelia and its people. That will not change. For now, I withdraw." "You've done more than save the city," she said softly. "You've shown what humans are capable of, what courage truly means. And today, your people have proven that as well." The HFY message was clear. Human ingenuity, courage, and spirit could triumph against overwhelming odds. High above, Queen Zarathia observed the planet one last time before retreating into the depths of space. She had seen the human spirit at work, had witnessed ingenuity and bravery that defied her calculations. Kale had earned her respect, fascination, and a declaration that no other being had ever received. On the palace balcony, Kale and Liara stood together, looking at the stars. "We've done it," Liara said softly. Kale nodded. "For now, but the galaxy is vast and challenges will come again. What matters is that we face them with courage, wisdom, and the will to protect those who depend on us." He realized that his presence had not only saved lives, but had changed the course of the planet's future. Humanity's ingenuity, adaptability, and bravery had been proven beyond doubt. As the twin suns rose over Virelia, painting the sky with gold and crimson, Kale and Liara knew that the battle had been won, but the war for peace and understanding in the galaxy was ongoing. Still, one truth remained certain: humans were not just survivors. They were forces that could inspire, protect, and triumph in ways no alien species could predict. And somewhere far above, in the silent corridors of space, Queen Zarathia acknowledged that fact. A human had stood against her, had outwitted her forces, and had inspired a people to greatness. For Kale, the mission was complete, but the story of humanity's courage and ingenuity was only beginning. The people of Virelia celebrated their heroes, and Kale, ever humble, reminded them that victory came from unity, adaptation, and courage. Humanity had been proven to the galaxy, not through domination, but through ingenuity, spirit, and the will to protect what mattered most. In that moment, the legacy of a single human stood clear. One life, guided by bravery and intelligence, could change the fate of a planet and earn the respect of even the most powerful beings in the universe. Virelia would thrive, the people would rebuild stronger than ever, and Kale's story, of courage, loyalty, and human spirit, would echo across the stars. The galaxy had witnessed humanity at its finest.